the Israelis had actually attacked and attempted to sink the USS Liberty, killed 34, injured 170. They were doing everything they could to kill everybody. They actually um, deliberately strafed the lifeboats, for example, and then they destroyed the antenna that sent the distress signals. It was only because of the courage of one individual that managed to actually climb up a tower and attach a wire that they were able to send out a distress signal. And the Israelis themselves heard that distress signal go out. There was a U.S. fleet about 500 miles away, and they knew that the U.S. at that point knew what was going on. Only then did they call off the attack. And I was really sickened. I knew about it, but this actually just drove it home. What a horror, and these poor guys, these very brave, completely innocent. They had so much trouble believing what was happening to them, but there's no question about it, what was happening, that the Israelis were deliberately targeting, trying to kill them all. And
our greatest ally, ladies and gentlemen, our greatest ally.
Right. Yeah. Now, the thing is, Johnson knew what happened. And actually, I think initially he was really shaken and very upset about it. And in fact, he told the reporters of Newsweek off the record that it was a deliberate attack by Israel. But then the Israelis were alarmed and they realized, this is our pro-Israel guy. We got to get him back online. They just started applying the pressure because there were a lot of people in his administration that had close ties to Israel, that were Israel firsters, kind of like the current administration. It was true back then. It was less open then than it is now. But they pulled all the levers that they had, and it was just, and in the end, like what made Johnson shut up is that they made it clear to him that if you go public with this will be considered blood libel, and you will be labeled an anti-Semite. And it was actually the fear of that. And there were other incentives and pressures, but that was a great part of what led to the cover-up. All these people were told, don't talk about it. The wives of the victims, the ones who died, were told, don't talk about this, And a lot of them didn't talk about it for years, but now they do. They have a ceremony, every year in Washington, D.C. at the Navy Memorial. But you could see it back then. I mean, it was just so clearly, Israel did control U.S. policy in this regard. And this was the fateful decision. I mean, if Johnson had shown moral courage and stood up to them, maybe we wouldn't be where we are now. But it was like when he caved in, it was the Israelis understood. One of the people involved in all this said, the Israelis from that day forward understood that they could get away with anything. And now we are where we are today.